invitate hearts and minds as we prepare to receive the Dharma. Thank you.
Namandam, 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 namandam.
We will begin our service with the ringing of the temple. Wait, no. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 39th annual Ellison Onizuka and the Space Shuttle Challenger Memorial Service. A special aloha to NASA astronaut Colonel Michael Fink, who is zooming in to be our guest speaker, as well as to Claude Onizuka, Shirley Matsuoka, Cheryl Marshall, and all other members of the Onizuka family in attendance today. We would like to take this time to express our sincerest condolences to the Onizuka family on the passing of Lorna Onizuka, wife of Colonel Ellison Onizuka, in July of 2024. May she now be at peace soaring amongst the stars with Ellison. 39 years ago, on January 28, 1986, Kona native Ellison Onizuka and 6 other astronauts perished 73 seconds after the shuttle Challenger was launched. The whole world mourned this tragedy, but our community in Sangha were especially heartbroken because Ellison was born and raised in Kona and was spiritually nourished right here at Kona Honganji Buddhist Temple. Let us never forget how Ellison pursued and achieved his dreams and brought honor and pride to his hometown and state. He soared in space, and though no longer here on this earth, he leaves a legacy for both young and old to follow. I am Harrison Kaneko, and I will serve as your MC today. Assisting at the temple with technical support are Alan Matsumoto, Lynn Katayama, and Joey Guzman. Betty Takeoka will lead the singing. Please rise and let us start the service with Vandana and Tisarana, led by Reverend Blaine. Please sing both the Pali and English parts together with Reverend Blaine. Those of you on Zoom, be sure to mute your mics.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the Saranam
Would you like to receive a discount or pay the full price? Full price.
Namaste. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namanda, it's namanda, it's namanda, it's namanda, it's namanda, it's namanda, it's namanda.
Please remain standing for an aspiration which will be shared by Reverend Blaine.
Please join me in Gasho. We gather this morning as friends in the Dharma, as fellow travelers along the journey of life. As we remember Ellison Onizuka and the crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger, we honor the spirit of discovery and wonder with which they lived. We also take this time to celebrate the life of the late Lorna Leiko Yoshida Onizuka, Ellison's beloved wife, who was reunited with him when she was born in the Pure Land on July 27, 2024, at the age of 75. We reflect upon the values of bravery, of sacrifice, and the power of imagination and hope to transform our world. We take to heart Ellison's encouragement to future generations on how to make a difference. They are the adventurers, the explorers, the doers of this world. When they see a wrong or problem, they do something about it. When they see a vacant place in our knowledge, they work to fill that void. Rather than leaning back and criticizing how things are, they work to make things the way they should be. They are the aggressive, the self-starter, the innovative, and the imaginative of this world. Whether we journey to the stars or into our own communities or into our own hearts and minds, we should always strive to live with a sense of curiosity, awe, and responsibility for leaving things better than we found it. This is our challenge and is what Ellison Onizuka continues to teach us all these many years since his birth in the Pure Land. As we face the dark days ahead for our nation and world, may we always take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows us the way in this life, the Dharma, the way of understanding and love, and the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. In trusting the dynamic working of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, we call the honored name of Amida, the Buddha of infinite light and life, with profound gratitude, abiding joy, and a heart-centered awareness for the miracle of each unrepeatable moment. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Please be seated. It is now time for the offering of incense. First, we invite Claude Onizuka and any other family members and relatives in attendance to please come up and offer incense, followed by Sangha members in the front rows and moving towards the back. Please use both of the incense burners. Let us now observe a moment of silent meditation. Reverend Blaine will now lead us in chanting the sutra, verses reaffirming the vows. Words can be found on page 117 in the Jodo Shinshu service book and on the screen. Again, page 117 in the Jodo Shinshu service book and on the screen.
The Buddha of infinite light and life made vows to embrace all beings equally without exception. These vows promise to create a perfect world where no suffering or evil exists and guides us to supreme awakening. The Ju-Seige, or verses reaffirming the vows, is a poetic summary of the basic intention of the 48 vows made by me, the Buddha, to attain supreme enlightenment, to save all who are suffering, and to declare universal liberation through the name Namo Amida Butsu. We chant the words of the Buddha as a reminder of these great vows of compassion made to awaken all beings. The verses reaffirming the vows. I have made unrivaled vows and will reach the highest path. If I fail in any way, may I not attain Buddhahood. Should I not provide to all for countless kalpas to come, aid in times of suffering, may I not attain Buddhahood. I will reach enlightenment, but unless my Buddha name resounds throughout the universe, may I not attain Buddhahood. I will practice the noble path, wisely, mindfully, free of greed. Seek to reach the supreme way, be a guide to one and all. May my power shine great light to illumine and dispel the darkness of the three poisons and save all from suffering. With eyes of wisdom I'll remove the darkness of ignorance. I will close all evil paths, open gates of highest good. When I attain Buddhahood, light will shine throughout all lands, light brighter than sun and moon, outshining all heavenly lights, giving my virtues to all, not forsaking anyone. I will proclaim the Dharma like the roar of a great lion, bowing before all Buddhas, steadfastly gaining virtues, with wisdom fulfilling my vows. I shall be a guide to all, like the wisdom of my teacher. May my wisdom also shine all throughout the universe, and illumine one and all. If I shall fulfill these vows, may all lands tremble with joy. From the heavens wondrous flowers rain down upon all the lands. Virtue of Amina's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namanabu, 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 namanabu.
Please rise for the Gotha Homeward I Go. Words can be found on the handouts and on the screen.
Homeward
Please be seated. This morning, thanks to the efforts of Claude Onizuka, we are once again honored to have as our guest speaker our favorite NASA astronaut, Edward Mike Fink, Colonel U.S. Air Force retired. Colonel Michael Fink was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on March 14, 1967, although he considers its suburb Emsworth to be his hometown. Upon graduation from Sewickley Academy, Colonel Fink attended MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in 1989. He then went on to earn two Master of Science degrees. The first was from Stanford University in 1990, and the second was from the University of Houston Clear Lake. His areas of study included aeronautics and astronautics, Earth, atmospheric and planetary sciences, and planetary geology. After Colonel Fink graduated from MIT in 1989, he immediately entered a Russian summer exchange program with the Moscow Aviation Institute, and he studied cosmonautics. In 1990, Colonel Fink joined the United States Air Force, where he spent much of his career as a space systems engineer and space test engineer, logging in over 1,900 flight hours in more than 30 different aircraft types. In 1996, Colonel Fink was selected by NASA to become an astronaut. After training for 2 years, Colonel Fink was assigned to serve as an International Space Station Capsule Communicator, also known as CAPCON. In 2015, he was named Assistant to the Chief for Commercial Crew in the Astronaut Office at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Colonel Fink's spaceflight experience spans three missions: Expedition 9 in 2004 and Expedition 18 in 2008 through 2009, both launching from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, Kazakhstan, aboard Russian Soyuz spacecraft. In 2011, Colonel Fink embarked on the STS-134 mission, marked as the final flight of Space Shuttle Endeavour. Colonel Fink has spent a total of 381 days, 15 hours, and 11 minutes in orbit, and logged 48 hours and 37 minutes of EVA, or extravehicular activity, time on a total of 9 spacewalks. He ranks way up there on the list of American astronauts for the most time in space, and in his lifelong quest for learning about space, he may just add to those numbers in the coming years. In addition to 2 NASA Distinguished Service Medals and 3 NASA Space Flight Medals, Colonel Fink is a recipient of the first International Space Station Leadership Award, as well as the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, and Meritorious Service Medals, among others, for his military service. He has also distinguished himself with numerous medals awarded by the U.S. Air Force ROTC and test pilot schools. Colonel Fink is married to the former Renita Saikia, and they have 3 children. Please give a warm welcoming aloha to NASA astronaut E. Michael Fink, U.S. Air Force Colonel retired.
Hey, Harrison, since you're still there, can you hear me? Do we have good audio?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, great job, young man, and thank you for the kind introduction. Namaste, Namo Buddhaya, Ohayo gozaimasu, Aloha. It is a deep, big honor to be invited back. Claude says I have to keep coming back till I get it right, so maybe this time. And today I'd like to share a few slides with you on this day of Ellison Onizuka's legacy, some memories, and a little bit on what's happening in the space program. I won't take too long of your time, but it is a great honor to be with you. And greetings from rainy Houston, Texas. So I should have said howdy in there too. All right, let me start sharing my screen. And we will share this one. And Harrison, can you tell me if you all are seeing my screen?
Yes.
Good job, thank you. So uh, this year, I thought we'd talk a little bit, I mean, why we're here, right? Of course, was 1986 Challenger surprised us all and took away seven of our very dear friends. And that was 39 years ago. And this year, we have every year at the Johnson Space Center, we have a day of remembrance. So since y'all couldn't be there, my wife and I took this picture of the tree that we have planted and that we lay flowers on every year in memory of Ellison. And there's other trees for all of our friends that we have lost. Ellison's legacy is truly important, and it's what's going to take us from the early days of space shuttle to humans working and living on the moon. And Ellison, this is his legacy. This is what we're taking forward as we go from space shuttle that Ellison helped um, start out to going to back to the moon on a SLS or other rocket. Ellison, of course, was a pioneer of how we as a country work together as different kinds of people, not just a bunch of military test pilots, but to people of, for men and women and people of different races and backgrounds all working together to be a great team. And it was a very big deal in 1978 when we had people that weren't just white men being astronauts. This was the first group that represented everyone. And in 2021, that's our most recent class. We're interviewing now for a new class, but the class of 2021, it was no big deal because these were just the greatest Americans that we could find that would help us fly in space. And some of those people that you see in that picture, they're going to be flying in space as early as next year. And so we've come a long way, and that's thank you to Ellison's patience and kindness. Of course, we know where he was born, and we're proud of his accomplishments as a young man, as a scout, going to the mainland and University of Colorado at Boulder. Like him, I was in the ROTC program, and like Ellison, I went to the Air Force Test Pilot School, where there's still even a an award to the person that they in your class who brings out the best of everyone, who has the best of attitudes, who you can't take them down, and that's the Ellison Onizuka Prop Wash Award. I did not win that one. I was nominated, but there were some better guys in my class that kept us up and going as a team. And then in 1978, he was selected as an astronaut, and his daughters and grandchildren here in Houston, Texas, of which my family we know them, and I think his grandson and my son both graduated high school at the same time in the same place. As Harrison and Reverend Blaine mentioned, this year we lost Lorna Onizuka, Lorna Leiko Yoshida Onizuka. We had a memorial service here that was extremely well attended here in Houston, where we shared our memories and shared our grief together. But we were so proud. We're very proud that she liked me and that she gave me her blessings every time I would go to back to the Big Island to represent Ellison. She honored Elle's memory through educational and philanthropic initiatives. The Challenger Centers are still going to this day to inspire over 6 million students in science, technology, engineering, and math. She was exceptional in that she was able to make the bridge between the Americans at NASA and the Japanese from JAXA, Japan Aerospace Exploration, and they used to be NASDA, now they're JAXA, right, playing a key role in international astronaut programs and agreements. And there was a large contingency from Japan and from JAXA at her memorial service. But ultimately, you know, Lorna, she loved her family, she loved her friends, and she was always putting her daughters, grandchildren, and Ohana first. And her commitment to education and her steadfast support for the space community remain a guiding light, and she's definitely a great example to us all. So the lessons of Challenger and the spirit of exploration endure. And so, yes, Lorna was homeward bound, and she went with peace in her heart. And may she be in peace with Ellison among the stars. And it was this inspiration that Ellison brought that Lorna and Claude and most of you, if not all of you, would bring that try to carry on the legacy to inspire the next generation of explorers, especially from Hawaii and certainly from the Big Island, because we all need heroes to look up to, and Ellison for sure was one of mine. And of course, everybody who has a passport can can see, he's inspiring all of Americans. And as we go abroad, our Ellison's words are with us. That every generation has the obligation and to look out from a higher plateau. And this is something really special. So, what happened last year in space? Boy, what didn't happen? And I do want to talk to you about my friends Butch and Sunny. We'll get there. But we started building new rockets. I think 2024 and 2025 are going to be in history written about all these new rockets. So of course, I think a lot of you know this rocket on the left hand side. That's the Saturn V, and then next to it is this SLS that's going to take us to the moon. But on the very far left, you see this this big rocket built by built by SpaceX, and then the one right here on the very far right, built by Blue Origin, which nobody was really paying attention to until this year when they started to launch. So the Starship uh, rocket last year. It had launched before, but now it launches and they can use it again because they catch it here on this platform. It comes back, and then these two arms come in and grab it. Of course, they call those arms chopsticks, and it's amazing how they are able to catch it. And they've caught it twice so far. They're still getting it down right. And then, of course, then on New Glenn was this new rocket built by Jeff Bezos' company, Blue Origin, and they had their first launch just a week or two ago, and they made it to orbit on their first try. The first stage here, the bottom part, is supposed to land on a barge in the ocean. They weren't able to do that, but they're working on it, and this Blue Origin, along with Starship, are going to really change how we get to space. We also had a very interesting flight last year that wasn't NASA sponsored. It was this guy, you see him here. He did the first civilian spacewalk. He worked with SpaceX, and they made a mission that went very high up into space, higher than we usually go with the International Space Station. And they opened up the hatches, and he stepped outside. His name is Jared Isaacman. He's a billionaire, and he's also President Trump's nominee for NASA's administrator. So it'll be very interesting to see in the next couple months, if Jared gets approved by the Senate, where NASA is going to go. So stay tuned. There's going to be some interesting things happening. Officially, Artemis are planned to go to the moon. I think I showed you a slide like this last year, but I had to change the dates. We're hoping to have our first crewed flight test officially this year. There's already rumors that it might slip again. And then the first crewed surface expedition would happen hopefully soon after. We're not there yet, but we're still working on it, and we have all these ideas for the future. And with the new administration and the new administrator, it wouldn't be surprising if these particular plans were altered. I don't think for example, we had similar plans back in 2006 and 2007, and the Obama administration came in and they canceled our Constellation program, which is similar to this one. I don't think this new administration is going to cancel things, but we'll find out. We're delayed right now because on the spacecraft itself we had battery issues, thermal control issues, and the heat shield was really it didn't come back the way we thought it would from our first uncrewed flight. So we're working on that, and it's a tricky bit to build a new spacecraft. Just as you might know with Starliner, and I'm sure many of you have heard the story of Butch and Sunny and how they're stuck in space and how they're stranded or not stranded. So I was definitely very much part of that. So I'll tell you our story just in just a little bit, but and then tie it back to some of the decisions that we made at NASA, especially to send Starliner back without the crew, was because of what the lessons that we learned during Challenger and during Columbia. So we were extra careful when Butch and Sunny are going to come home. It's just going to be delayed, but they're going to come home fine. So they're not stranded. And Starliner did come home safely without them. So I won't go back to the beginning of the universe, but back in 2014 we made a contract, and you can see some familiar folks on there with Charlie Bolden and Bob Cabana and Kathy Leaders and yours truly. We made the announcement for the contract for both SpaceX and Boeing. That was surprising. Everyone thought it was just going to be one contractor. We made two, which was very smart in the long run because we want to make a robust and competitive commercial space sector where we can have new jobs and new industry in space, and to take what Ellison and his crew were doing to open up space with reusable spacecraft like the space shuttle to build space stations and things like that. The NASA government, our idea was to show it and then how to do it, and then industry will take over. And we're coming along that way. You can see with the new rockets, those aren't NASA rockets; those are private company rockets. But we, as NASA, we helped them get there. So the idea was the same way as the way that the government helped industry with airplanes. And then today we have these beautiful Hawaiian airline airplanes that are flying people all over the world to taking rockets and trying to do the same thing to have space stations of the future that are American industry jobs and money and great stock options and all those things ahead of our competitors, ahead of other countries to help get to low Earth orbit and help humans go explore Mars, the Moon, and Mars. So of course, you know, we have this SpaceX Dragon capsule, and we have up to 9 crews have already launched, plus Doug and Bob. So 10 crews total have launched on Dragon, NASA crews. Other crews have launched. Some went to the space station on a private mission, private astronaut missions we call them, or PAMs. And some, like Jared Isaacman, they rented a capsule and flew through the Van Allen radiation belts, 6,000 miles up in space, and did a spacewalk. This is something exactly what we were hoping would happen. But on the Starliner, that didn't happen, and a little bit of the story of how the mighty Boeing found it difficult. So there were 3 of us that were trained and ready to go on Starliner. They picked Butch and Sunny to go fly, and I got to be the third wheel, or the backup to Butch and Sunny, which I'm glad that they got to go fly, and I helped them get there. And it was a joy and an honor. And then they put me on the second crew as pilot, along with my friends Scott Tingle and Josh Kutrick and Kimia Yuli. That's where we officially stand right now. OFT was the first uncrewed space flight in December of 19, and we had some problems. It never made it to the space station. There were some software problems. We fixed the software. We tried to launch it, and the day before, right on the day of launch, we found that there were some thruster problems. We said, "Oh yeah, we'll fix them. They've got some water in them." So we fixed it, and then we had an OFT2 launch in 2022, and there were some thruster problems, but they were small ones, and went to the space station, and then it came back safely. So we were ready to go, and we put Butch and Sunny in the cockpit, and in 2024, and we arrived at the Cape at April 25th, and we didn't get to launch till June. It was tough being in quarantine that whole time. I escaped early so that we watched my son's graduation, but Butch and Sonny stayed, and they got used to staying places for a long time because there were some thruster problems. Oh yeah, here we go. We were there getting ready for their launch. I took this picture of them walking out to the rocket. It was just me and them. It was really weird. They put us on a bus. There was no management, no supervision. We could have done anything. I left the launch pad and ran off to the TV booth, and we announced their launch on NASA TV, and it was a real joy to watch them launch. But they never made it back. They're still quote unquote stuck there. Myself and Scott Tingle, we were there for the landing of Starliner, and we opened the hatch, and sure enough, Butch and Sonny were not there. They're still up. We worked. I worked with the team. We did some thruster testing. You can kind of see the little thing on the right off my shoulder. That's a thruster. We put it into a vacuum chamber and put some, the hypergolic fuel and propellant through it, and got it to be really hot, and saw some of the same things that we were seeing what we saw on orbit. So what the Butch and Sonny, Starliner stuff, or the Starliner story, is that as far as so we delayed some crewed flights, including the folks on crew 9. They had to take 2 people off the mission and put them so that we have 2 empty seats for Butch and Sonny. So Butch and Sonny have seats. They're going to come back right now. This one says February, maybe March. We're working on it, and NASA and Boeing are working really hard to test the thermal and thruster system before Starliner's next crewed missions. So that's where we are right now. It's a very busy time for us. We're scratching our heads a lot and working together as a team to try to solve these things, because NASA really wants to have 2 different rockets that can go up and down to the space station. One of the reasons why we decided to send the spacecraft home, even though we were pretty sure it was going to be fine, was so that we really paid attention to what the lessons that we learned from Challenger and Columbia, and that's why we're here today, is to remember Ellison and his Challenger crew. Is that some bad decisions were made along the way, and not out of malice, but just out of making mistakes. And we didn't want to make the mistake of sending Butch and Sonny home on a spacecraft that we didn't fully trust, when we could send them home on a Dragon later. So that was pretty much how it came down to it. It was like, yeah, we could probably bring them home and they'll probably be safe. But for sure, a better answer, NASA said, is to bring them home on something that we know is safe, as much as a spacecraft can be safe. So Butch and Sonny, yeah, they're stuck. Um, they are happy to be there, especially Sunita. She's so happy to be there. Butch and Sonny are going to go on a spacewalk in just a few days. So this is, they're doing a lot of great work on the space station. So we remember the Challenger crew. We remember Ellison today. Their memory, their legacy is not lost on us. And even to this day, NASA tries to do a better job. We try to make things open for all of humanity so that we can go fly to the stars together. We remember Ellison for his heroism, his sense of humor, and his love. We remember that today. So thank you very much. I am open to share some answer any questions. Again, it's a big honor for me to be here today. Again, thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions, anyone? Okay, Brennan.
How long has Butch and Sonny been in space?
Yes, so Butch and Sonny, they've been in space let's see, they got there in June to July to August, September, October, November, December, 6 months. January is now 7 months, and they'll be up there for a total of 8 or 9 months. And of course, Sunny beat my record of 381 days, and she's going, and that's great. That's really they're happy to be there. People are getting great data on how humans adapt to space, especially for longer and longer times, because we're going to be up there as humans longer and longer times as we go to the moon and Mars. The trip to Mars itself can take up to 9 months, and Butch and Sunny are there for 9 months.
Thank you. One more.
Do they have food to last them for another 3 months?
Yes, it's about food and water, and that's really important. So we as NASA, we are very careful to make sure that there's enough food and water, and our supply ships brought up extra food and water for them. And right now we are working on our next supply ship and seeing if we can make it go up a little bit sooner, so that there's enough for sure food and water for Butch and Sunny. And that's something that we talk about a lot, because I know as a crew member that if I'm working hard every day, I expect NASA to feed me, right? So we make sure that Butch and Sunny have enough food, enough water, enough clothing, and things like that. So sometimes you'll hear in the news that Sunny looks skinny. Well, she's a skinny person. I talk to her pretty much once or twice a week. Talk to Butch, a couple of times a week too. They're doing fine. They have plenty of food. Now, it's not as good as Earth food. It's not as good as what the food you find in Hawaii. No poke for them, but their food is pretty good.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else has questions? Raise your hand.
We have one question from the chat. It says, in your opinion, what is the number one improvement that could be made in your home away from home in space to make it more comfortable, especially when the missions go longer than planned?
That's a really good question. Um, and we've gotten better. On my first mission, we barely had enough food, and there was a little bit of a scandal because of it. But it wasn't our fault. We ate the food that they gave us. That's what it's supposed to be, right? But they fixed that problem of making sure there's enough food. A second mission I had, we said, hey, we need something like internet so that we can be like normal people. So now we have a pretty good internet system on board. Uh, so I've been told. Uh, it's not a perfect system. We can't do messaging like my wife and I. That's most of the way we contact each other. So I think that's probably the best way, is that if we had a full connectivity like humans are worth today. So that means like my iPhone, I can pick up and I can talk to my friends, or I can text them or something. We don't quite have that yet, but maybe that's the best one to make it more comfortable. I will say that the food is good. We especially we have enough nice blend of international foods that everybody likes. There's vegetarian, non-vegetarian. There's beef if you like beef. There's rice if you like gohan. I mean, this is all good stuff. The temperature is nice. It's not the same as being at home, especially if you live in Kona or on the Big Island. Of course, that's better. But in space, it's pretty comfortable. So I would just like to say, hey, treat us like regular people. Let us use something like an iPhone and talk to our families and text and keep in touch, so that we can have a normal life and we don't miss our friends so much.
Thank you. Here's Mini with a question.
Whenever I see videos up in space and you're looking down on Earth, I am so awestruck, and I wonder if it's common for astronauts to have a spiritual awakening if they're not already spiritual, or even more connected to humanity because of your perception on how much of a speck of dust you are with Earth in regards.
That is a great question. Myself, and a lot of folks who come to the astronaut program as engineers or scientists or pilots, were steely-eyed, exciting things don't bother us. We're calm, cool, and collected, and we never panic. We never, we're almost robots in how well we do our jobs of flying or engineering and scientific analysis. But once we get into space, and I think that's why this background I put up this morning, I'm not up in space right now. If not, I would have suffocated without my helmet, right? But it's that when you do go to space, it's called the overview effect. Somebody even wrote a book on it. It does change us. Even the most grumpy, steely-eyed person, after looking at our planet, the most beautiful planet in the solar system, or looking out at the stars, we never, can help but to feel moved. My 381 days in space, it never got old. And I think as I go up again in the coming soon, I hope, and my next 6 or 8 month mission, I still won't lose the awe and wonder that it is. As a planetary scientist, Mars and the Moon were my favorite planets. When I was a kid, it was Saturn, but now, after being in space, planet Earth is my favorite planet. And of course, the Big Island is one of my favorite, if not my favorite places on planet Earth. So wow, you guys are lucky to be there.
Oh, Brennan has another question.
Did you have a hard time walking when you came back from space?
That is a very good question. In fact, we spend a lot of time on understanding how people adapt when they first get into space and when they come back. And of course, that's a very interesting question, but it's also a practical question. What if it takes me 9 months to fly to Mars and then I land on Mars in a capsule or something? Will I be strong enough to open the hatch and get outside and walk around on Mars or not? We need to know these things. So for me, I'm a short guy. I'm a little bit wide. For tall guys, it's actually their sense of balance gets changed a lot more than short guys. That's just part of how our orthostatic system works with our heart having to work harder to get up to taller guys. But for shorter guys like me, we have an easier time to balance. But still, we have to learn to walk again. For some people, it takes a few days. For other people, it happens pretty quickly. Our bones are a little bit weak, even if with all of our new exercise equipment that we have there. So they don't want us to run, even though I think my first day back, I was so excited. I actually ran a little bit, and the doctors warned me that was not in my best interest. Yes, everybody comes back, everybody learns, everybody walks again. But for some of us, it's pretty quick, and others, it takes a few days. But we eventually remember what it's like living on planet Earth, and we adapt. And that's what's really neat about humans. You can put us in really strange situations, and we can learn to adapt and to overcome. And we get to space and we learn how to fly, and then we come back and we learn how to walk again really fast.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more question. They want to know, when are you going up in space again?
Ah, I want to know too. So I will share. It's not a secret, but it's something that hasn't been announced yet. I was going to be pilot on the first operational mission of Starliner. This Starliner One mission. I showed you our crew. They're going to take two of us off of that crew, myself and Kimiya Yui from Japan, and they're going to put us onto a Dragon, and this Dragon will go to will have one person who got bumped off their flight when Butch and Sunny, we had to make room for them. So we took two people off. We have room to one, so it would be myself and Zena Cardman and Kimiya Yui and a Russian guy named Oleg. And they're going to announce us in the next couple days. So look forward to getting a announcement from NASA with a crew. So this will be the third or fourth crew I've been on since I got first assigned on Starliner in 2019. But good things come to those who wait. And I like to think that Ellison will probably have the same amount of patience that I do, which is not a lot, but enough because we know this is really important things. So I hope I'm handling it as well as Ellison, because it's been tough these last 6 years watching my friends go fly and me standing back here, but I'll have a chance. So if we do know something when our launch date is and everything, of course, we'll share it with the community, because uh, we all need your blessings when we go fly into space. It's a tough thing. And to know that you have your friends and family, your ohana behind you, that's a good thing. And then when I come back from flying, maybe I can come visit and share that adventure with you all.
Thank you. I think, Hetty, did you have a question you wanted to ask?
Back to the space station, I'm just wondering if they grow plants or try to grow their own vegetables and that sort of thing.
Yes, I love that question. I like growing vegetables and growing our own food. So we've experimented with it. We've had a few. We've had a few things like lettuce. Grow some lettuce. Um, and so but we don't have enough room to really grow enough to feed us. But we're learning on how to do it. What's the best way? Do you use soil or soil bulbs, or do you do it all hydroponically, or do you just spray water onto them, onto the roots without actually having liquid water? We're trying to figure all these things out, because when we do go to the moon and when we do go to Mars, we're going to have to do that. And I'm looking forward to it. In fact, in these 6 years of waiting to go fly, I have my own little hydroponic garden at home here, and seeing how this all supposed to, how it all works. And I'll just say that I don't like tomatoes as much as I used to.
Okay, anyone else has questions? Yeah, Harrison has a question.
Yay, Harrison. Good job today, young man.
Some of the guys in the back were wondering how you use the bathroom in space.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Question from your friends, right? Yeah, that's nice of you to ask for them. Hey, we're all humans, and we all do it, right? So you eat your food, because they will send you food. You eat your food, and then a day later, it all has to come back out, right? So in space, it's really cool. We've gotten pretty good at space toilets. I will say that the Americans are definitely behind in space toilet technology, but we're catching up, because we know how to do some things that other countries haven't been able to do. So but all space toilets are the same. We have solid waste, which is number two, and we have liquid waste, which is number one. And we drink our Kona coffee. It comes out as liquid waste, and we all pee into a funnel. The funnel is connected to a hose. The hose is connected to a tank, and then we have a system that takes all the pee out of the tank and recycles it. What recycled means, it takes all the water out of the pee and then leaves only the little kind of crystals of the brine that's left. And we take that water, as well as water that we get out of the air, like from an air conditioner system, and we use it, and we purify it first. It's a very sanitary and scientific system how we distill our water. But it's really cool is because for each liter of water we send up, we get 97% of it back. So that's pretty good. Is that recycling? It's not 100%, but it's really close. Because each time we send up a liter of water, that costs us $5,000. So the fact that we can recycle that and we use that is really good. But it's also really good because when we go to the moon and Mars, we need to know how to do these things. And we take that same technology and back to Earth back on Earth, like desert places and places that are due to global change, that they're going to need to have more water, and we have some really good water recycling technology and experience that we share with the rest of the world. So good. That's good on us. Number two is number two, right? Two reasons why. Okay. Anyway, so number two, we sit down on a seat and we use a fan to pull the number two stuff out, and it all goes into a little plastic bag. The plastic bag gets put into the big metal container. Metal container gets full. We close it up. Uh, Never open it up again once it's closed, because that would be really nasty. We take these big metal containers, we put them into our supply ships that bring up stuff for us, and then we fill them full of trash, and then they burn up in the atmosphere. So next time you see a shooting star, you should realize maybe that's one of our supply ships and what it contains. You should make good wishes.
That was very interesting. Okay.
Well,
Changing
the
gears.
question was asked.
Anyone else? Question? Okay. Reverend, do you have a question? No? Oh, Maki has a question. Okay.
Hi, I have a question regarding space debris. I heard there's a lots of old satellite or trash in the space. Is that the danger to International Space Station?
So that's it. It is. It is a danger. So as you can see, the planet that's Earth behind me, space station flies very low, and other satellites and debris they fly much higher. But as the sun gently pushes on them, as the atmosphere contracts and expands and contracts, the satellites start to slow down, and then as they slow down, they get lower and lower, and they get near the space station. So we have to worry. The space station has to worry about space debris, and we have teams on the ground, mainly military stations, that monitor space debris, including I think there's an observatory on Maui that helps us out very much. And when the debris gets near the space station, we move the space station out of the way. And so we call this a programmed debris avoidance maneuver, or PDAM. So maybe about once a month, maybe once every 2 months, we have to do this debris avoidance maneuver so the space debris doesn't hit us. And then I told the story of how wonderful it is that we're building all these new rockets. Well, these new rockets are going to keep putting up new satellites. For example, Elon Musk in his Starlink satellite, he's put up thousands of these so that people could have internet all over the world. But that becomes more space debris. And the more rockets that go up, the more space debris there is. So we are being very careful, and we're scratching our head a little bit on how to manage space debris and how to make sure that we don't have so much debris that it's dangerous to humans or dangerous to all these expensive satellites. It's an interesting problem.
Thank you. And thank you for always sharing the update, what's happening in NASA. We really appreciate. Hope you can share more story in the future, and please be safe for your training.
Thank you very much. I will do my best. Gambarimasu.
Any more questions? I think we can take one or two. Oh, there's one from chat.
Colonel Darren Katayama here said that if you come in person next time, we'll give you lots of local food.
Okay, that's it. Well, but if you ask Claude, you know that I eat a lot, so be ready.
Okay, we can probably take one more question before we let him go. Anyone? Okay, then I have a question. What is the priority? Is it going to the moon or going to Mars?
So desu ne. So the priority depends on who the boss is. So we all do what the boss says. So with President Obama, it was going to Mars. Don't talk about the moon. And then after President Obama left, then we were told, nope, it's the moon. And so now and then with President Biden, he said, yep, it's still the moon. And we'll see what the current administration with President Trump in his second term, I think we go to the moon. But it's always with the idea that we go to the moon before we go to Mars. But Mars is the destination. We need to, because the moon is very hard to live on. Mars is too, but Mars is more Earth-like. It has more gravity. It has a little bit of an atmosphere, but it has an atmosphere. And there's a lot of logic in saying that we as humans should not just live on one planet, because what happens if something goes wrong with our planet? That we have other options that our children and grandchildren will live on, because we live on multiple planets. And in fact, that's Elon Musk, his company, the SpaceX company. That is their company goal, is to make humans to be a multi-planetary species. That's a direct quote. So yes, Moon right now is priority. Space station is less of a priority. We're getting less money. We're hoping to deorbit the space station in 5 or 6 years. We're hoping that there's other new space stations on board that aren't NASA space stations, and then because NASA will be going to the moon and we'll have a moon base. But it's not just us. The Chinese and Indians both want to make their own moon base too. And if I were them, I would want that also. So it's going to be very interesting to see the next couple of years of who's going to go to the moon first and who's going to get there and how. So these are very interesting times. And that's another reason why I think NASA, we've been told that our priority is going to the moon. But we say that, but when's our next flight for SLS? When's our Orion flight? If they're taking a long time, because we want to be safe, we want to do it right. But I personally think we probably need to move a little faster.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, we'll let Colonel Fink go, and with a heartfelt, warm aloha and mahalo for helping us out and being our speaker today. Thank you so much. Give him.
Thank you, Colonel Fink. Your talks about space are always so fascinating. Uh, thank you again. All right. Thank you again, Colonel Fink, for your awesome presentation. Is he still here? Okay. Thank you again, Colonel Fink, for your awesome presentation and keeping us updated on the latest things in space explorations. We are so grateful to have a NASA astronaut's presence in this annual memorial service. Mimi Bergstrom will now lead us in unison reading of our pledge. Words can be found on the handouts and on the screen. Please recite the words out loud with her.
Our pledge. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with the attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promises to embrace us all.
Thank you, Miss Mimi. Reverend Blaine will now offer a short Dharma reflection.
Namandavs, 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 namandavs. Hi, good morning, everybody, and mahalo to Colonel Fink for joining us again this year. It's always so good to see you. Thank you. We're truly grateful for you for being so willing to share your experiences and insights into space exploration and the hope it offers our troubled world. You know, in our tradition, light is a symbol of wisdom which dispels darkness of ignorance. In our sacred scriptures, the Pure Land of Enlightenment is described as the land of immeasurable light and the land of all-knowing wisdom. Light and wisdom go hand in hand, and we need even more light and more wisdom in our world today as we face the creeping darkness of greed, anger, and ignorance, which threatens to consume us all. Shinran Shonin writes in the Hymns of the Pure Land, the light of wisdom exceeds all measure, and every finite living being receives this illumination that is like the dawn, so take refuge in Amida, the true and real light. Many spiritual traditions view light as a powerful symbol of hope and renewal. This is why in winter, the darkest season of the year, there are so many holidays celebrating light and the promise of new beginnings. We need this hope even more today. When we look at the night sky, we see lights in the vast darkness of space. Through our imagination, we have drawn connections between these stars to create constellations, which resemble objects, animals, or people. Cultures around the world have had different names and numbers of constellations, depending on what people thought they saw. It is said that today there are 88 officially recognized constellations. There is great power and potential in the realm of the imagination. Every achievement or advancement begins with a simple idea which is inspired by a sense of wonder, curiosity, or a sense of responsibility for solving a problem. It takes imagination and bravery to see how profoundly connected we truly are. In our world today, it's become difficult to see our connections. The numerous wars and conflicts around the world and our deep political divides, which have led to hatred, violence, and unjust policies here in our country, are the result of this loss of imagination to see how connected we are in the vast constellation of life. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a spiritual concept of Indra's net, which describes our universe as a vast cosmic net, and at each knot in the net is a jewel which emits light and reflects light from all other jewels around it. This beautiful image is said to represent our interconnected lives, where each of us is a jewel and what we do matters and affects the lives of those around us. I'm a link in Amida's golden chain of love. This also teaches us how we are responsible for cleaning and polishing our jewel so we can share light with others and brighten the world together. I can't help but think of Ellison's encouragement to each of us, to future generations, to when we see a vacant place in our knowledge, we work to fill that void, right? Rather than leaning back and criticizing how things are, we work to make things the way they should be. We are the aggressive, the self-starters, the innovative, the imaginative of this world. I also reflect on Lorna's commitment to promoting science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, and her dedication to advancing space exploration for the benefit of all of us, for future generations. You know, whether we journey to the stars or into our own heart and mind, we should always strive to live with a sense of curiosity, awe, and responsibility. That's what the space program teaches us, right? This aspiration to go beyond what we know, to learn all that we can, right? To make life better. This is what Ellison Onizuka continues to teach us all these many years since his birth in the Pure Land. He is asking us to be brave, to speak our truths, and to imagine a world that should be. Earlier this week, we witnessed an example of this kind of courage so needed in our world today. At the National Prayer Service at Washington National Cathedral, Episcopal Bishop Marianne Edgar Buddy shared a message of mercy and love with our nation's leaders and the world. Guided by her faith, she spoke truth to power, embodying her Christian values. I am grateful to Bishop Buddy's bravery and stand with her as a Buddhist priest, and as an American, and as a person of faith. Her courageous and gentle words resonated with so many in our country and has inspired hope, reminding us of our own agency to speak truth to unjust power, guided by our own faith. In her book, How We Learn to Be Brave, she writes, "The courage to be brave when it matters most requires a lifetime of small decisions that set us on a path of self-awareness, attentiveness, and willingness to risk failure for what we believe is right. It is also a profoundly spiritual experience, one in which we feel part of something larger than ourselves and guided somehow by a larger spirit at work in the world and in us." Like Bishop Buddy, Ellison and Lorna Onizuka, can we be brave to see the connections between us like we do with the stars? Brave to see the humanity in all people, regardless of national origin, immigration status, sexual orientation or gender identity, economic class, religious belief, political affiliations, each of us is worthy of dignity, compassion, and respect. Brave to stand up for those who are being marginalized and hurt by unjust policies. Brave to give voice to our values in the face of criticism and threats of violence. Brave to live our innermost truths that no one can demean, diminish, or destroy, for we are always embraced by Amida's light of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Brave to embody the vows of a bodhisattva, saving all from suffering. Guided by the Buddha's teachings, let us be brave together, imagining and building a world that should be. Please join me in Gassho to recite Amida's name in gratitude, joy, and awareness. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Mahalo.
Thank you, Reverend Blaine. We will now have the offertory presentation. Thank you, everyone, for your generosity. Please rise and let's conclude this service with the singing of the Gatha Nembutsu.
Namandab, 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 namandab.
Please be seated. This concludes the 39th annual memorial service for the NASA astronaut Colonel Ellison Onizuka and the crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger. Here are a few announcements, upcoming services, events, and reminders. Next Sunday, February 2nd at 10 a.m., we will observe the Nirvana Day service or Shakyamuni Buddha's memorial service. In-person guest speaker will be Reverend Jigaku Takenoichi of Tashoji Soto Mission in Hilo. Regular Dharma family service will be held on Sunday, February 9th at 10 a.m. Reverend Blaine will share a Dharma message. Sunday, February 16th will be the annual Kyodan membership meeting and New Year's luncheon. At 10 a.m., we will start with a short service in remembrance of Sangha members who passed away last year, welcome new members, and honor our Keiro Kai members who have or will reach the age of 80 this year. This short membership meeting will take place after the service, which will be followed by a New Year's luncheon in the social hall with Ono food, entertainment, fellowship, bingo, and other games. There will be lots of prize giveaways, so you won't want to miss it. To get a good head count for lunch, please register by Friday, February 7th by calling the church office. Again, please RSVP by Friday, February 7th. The 2025 Gotha Fest will be held on Sunday, February 23rd at Puno Honganji Mission at 9:30 a.m. It is an annual sharing of gathas by most temples on the Big Island. Kono Honganji Sangha will participate and we will soon begin practicing our song. Darren Katayama has written Dharma lyrics to a pop song by Bruno Mars and Rose entitled APT. It's a catchy, fast-paced song currently very popular on YouTube. Our version is entitled NAB Naman Dubs, and we encourage our Sangha members to attend this fun event even if you do not wish to sing on a stage. You can either go by private car or we will try to get a van to assist those of you needing transportation. A sign-up sheet for transportation will be circulated, so anyone wishing to attend, please be sure to sign up so that transportation arrangements can be made. There will be no Sunday service held here at this temple. Reminders, if you have not done so yet, please pick up your pre-ordered 2025 Hompo Honganji Mission of Hawaii calendar at the church office. Extras are available. Most of you have received a mailing from the Kona BWA regarding their 125th anniversary celebration. Please correct the address on the return envelope to P.O. Box 769. It has been printed with the incorrect box number 759. Is there any other announcements, Reverend Blaine or anyone else?
Just a big mahalo to Harrison for being our MC this morning. Thank you. Also, again, big mahalo to Colonel Fink. Mike, it's always great to see you. Thank you again for sharing with us and for always joining us and being so amazing in your experiences here. And thank you to Claude Onizuka for joining us and for arranging for Mike to join us again this year. Again, mahalo. Thank you to everybody for your great questions for Mike. So thanks.
Any other announcements? In closing, we would like to express a very big mahalo to NASA astronaut Colonel Fink for being our guest speaker today. We are so privileged to have been able to listen and learn from your presentation. Please stay safe in all of your future space endeavors. Mahalo also to Claude Onizuka for making the arrangements with Colonel Fink. To members of the Onizuka family who have joined us today, you have added a special touch to this service for which we are sincerely grateful. Those of you on Zoom may leave at any time, and those of you here in person, refreshments will be served in the social hall. Mahalo to Lynn Katayama, Lisa Suryako, and anyone else who brought goodies to share. Thank you all for joining us. Please always keep abreast of the latest news and space happenings. Do your best to keep healthy and safe, and we look forward to seeing you at future services. Thank you.